Welcome to Contemplative Living, where we view contemplations for the week to have a better understanding of our spiritual paths. This is Contemplative Living with Dave Bennett, contemplations and reflective meditations. Hello, and welcome back to another Contemplative Living, where we talk about concepts to bring contemplative living into our everyday lives. So today, I'm going to, instead of just read the reading, I'm actually going to show you what I'm reading today. And do not look for rest in any pleasure, because you were not created for pleasure. You were created for spiritual joy. And if you do not know the difference between pleasure and spiritual joy, you have not yet begun to live. By Thomas Merton. Morning, Shirley. How you doing? I'm glad to see you're here. Nice and bright and early. So, we're going to talk about joy, and more the spiritual deep joy that resides within each of us. But before we do that, we're gonna set the path a little bit. All right. So, change is not good or bad. It simply is. It's better to make the most of everything, but we have to stop fighting. This is something that I really learned in my spiritual journey. And also, this is a very strong Stoic sentiment, that nothing is necessarily good or bad. It's the judgment that we place on things that make them appear to us to be good or bad. And I saw this on my spiritual path a number of times, where I would perceive something as good or bad, and it would then color my perception. And instead of moving forward and accepting that this is just the way it is right now, and when I say accepting, I don't mean accepting and then laying down. I'm saying that I just accept, okay, this is the way it is right here, right now. But I can move forward in a positive and empowering path and make the best of everything I can. So the thing, and so in other words, I'm going to inject myself into my life. I'm not going to fight my way through life, because then I'm creating a battle. Then I'm creating resistance just by calling it a fight. Like when I came down with stage 4 lung and bone cancer, a lot of friends were like, oh, you're in for the fight of your life type of, they had that kind of mentality. And I said, no, it's really just a challenge. This is only a challenge that I have to overcome. And I need clear vision in order to be able to overcome it. And where does that clear vision come from? It comes from accepting the circumstance, accepting that this is just the way it is, but I'm not going to fight it. In fact, I had one really good friend who lived across the country, and he shipped me a set of professional boxing gloves when he heard I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung and bone cancer. And I love him for it. And I hung on to those gloves for a long time. But I didn't see it as a fight. I saw it as just simply a challenge that we need to get past. And that is kind of the concept that I'm trying to convey here. So moving along, when faced with decisions about which direction to turn, look to your highest joy. So here we are now on a path, and we have different directions that we can take. Well, how do we discern which path is better for us? Now, and you've probably heard me say over and over again to, take the curvy path and enjoy life and squeeze all the juice out of life. But when you have a decision point in your life, it's really imperative for yourself and for your essence, your being, to tune in to your joy and see which path lights up a little bit more, which one's a little brighter. 9 times out of 10, that's the path that you're destined to go down. It doesn't mean that once in a while we can take the dark path, because to investigate our shadow self and to look at those elements within ourselves is not a bad thing. But remember to stay within your joy and your loving intention. Because when we're in that space of our loving intention and within our joy, that's when we can see clearly as to which direction. Now, pursue your highest joy, the path through life which is most closely aligned with your true essence. Pursue your highest joy. In other words, a lot of times in life, we don't really look for the joy. We don't look for the beauty. We don't look, because we're so caught up with maybe some darkness, some depression, some just the things that are bombarding us on a day-to-day basis, that we forget to look for the joy. We forget to look for the beauty in life. But a joy-filled path is what's most closely aligned with your true essence. Your true essence is made of love, joy, compassion, and all of that is how we can live our life. But again, in this physical life, we tend to get caught up with the circumstances that surround us. And boy, we're really being bombarded these days. This is really a chaos-filled time. And some of my astrologer friends are saying that, this is going to go on for a little while, and that we still have some of that, we have that chaos. But if we can maintain our path of joy, our path of loving intention, we can rise above the chaos and see clearly where to put our feet. It's important to know where we're going. And so when we're choosing those paths, we need to sincerely look at our being, our essence, and how we're going to navigate through. Renewal is always possible because life itself is always driven and supported by the forces of nature. And boy, is that not true. That is so appropriate right now, because we are all being driven like cattle in a direction because of the global health crises that are happening right now, and because of all the stress and strains with racial inequities and all of that stuff. We're being pushed, and those forces of nature are pushing us, but are they pushing us to be a better person? Can we take what we're learning from this chaos and turn it around so that it benefits us to grow spiritually, mentally, emotionally, so that we can be that powerful source within our essence and allow that to rise up in us, to be able to help our fellow man, to be able to help our communities, to be able to help our families. So those forces are always going to be pushing against us. They're always going to be there to kind of strengthen us. And a lot of times we gain our strength when we work with against and with sometimes those circumstances that surround us. I love this picture. Isn't that the epitome of joy? Joy and a well-flowing life are tuned to the harmony between the individual and their divine essence. So joy and a well-flowing life are tuned to the harmony between the individual and their divine essence. So we love when we feel like we're flowing in life, when we're aligned and things are going well. I mean, that the joy just bubbles up on itself. We don't have to go looking for it then. But maintaining that harmony between our individual self, which a lot of times we call our separate self. It's that false illusion that we're separate individuals trying to forge our way through life. But that's part of the duality of being human. So knowing that we have that separate self, but it's in harmony with our divine essence, our true nature. When we can bring them together in harmony, kind of like the yin yang symbol of balance, when we can bring that together, that's when we have a well-flowing life. That's when joy can bubble up. Even in the midst of chaos, we can have joy in our hearts because we know that we're building a brighter future. I love that picture of that dog. The message of hope and joy is we don't have to figure out how to transform or renew. We don't have to figure out how to transform or renew our life. That knowledge and power is already here within. So we know, and if you've been listening to these podcasts for years or for a while, you know that we have that divine essence within us. We were just talking about it. And hope and joy are keys that help us to unlock the connection to our divine essence, because within that divine essence is love, unconditional love. And within that connection of our divine essence is our golden cord that connects us to the unity and oneness of the universe. So when we can touch with hope, joy, love, compassion, that's enough many times. That's enough. And we don't have to try to figure it out. I have a number of friends, including myself. When I started down the spiritual path, many of you know I was an engineer, and so I thought logically most of my life, except for when maybe I've had a one too many wines. But I would try to think logically, and I overthought everything. I tried to figure out, especially after my near-death experience, I tried to figure out, what was this love? What was this unconditional love? I had to try to figure it out. And when I let go of that, when I let go of trying to figure it out, that's when I was able to connect and be a part of that unity with the oneness that is all around us. So I invite you to let go. And the last slide here is going to talk about that a little bit. Attune to your divine essence and let go of the idea that we're at the center of the universe. Because we are individual fragments of light that are connected to the unity and the grand oneness of the universe. We're just one shining light. We are not the universe, but we are a part of the universe. We are, and with that connection, we can take and grow our knowledge and grow our strength and grow our divine essence to be a force here in this physical life, and to be able to help and to be able to assist and to strengthen our communities. That's what happens when we attune to our divine essence. And like we've said, our divine essence, it's always there. And when we get off track, it's patiently waiting for us to reattune. So I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you find that joy, that hope, that love, that compassion, and I hope you bring it into your day-to-day life so that you can forge ahead throughout all the chaos and the circumstances that may be inundating you or all of us or your community. And so I hope you have a blessed week. Namaste.